So in the last video I talked about one of the ways that a cell can relay information from other cells. That is, it can activate certain chemically gated channels or electrically gated channels to bring about the response. In this video I'm going to talk about another way that cell can respond to outside signals from other cells, and that is the G protein operated channel pathway. So in this diagram, they're showing an outside chemical, in this case a hormone, that lands onto a receptor protein on the cell membrane of the cell. And this receptor is called G protein operated channel. And it's called G protein operated channel because attached to it is a complex called G protein. The G protein has three different subunits: alpha, beta, and gamma. When the outside hormone, outside chemical in that case, lands onto the receptor, it will activate this G protein operated channel, and when this receptor is activated, the G protein complex will be activated also, and one of the subunits will fly apart to another protein on the membrane called adenylate cyclase. Adenylate cyclase is an enzyme that makes cyclic AMP, and in this pathway we call cyclic AMP as a second messenger because we consider this as the first messenger, but the first messenger doesn't go inside of the cell and start bringing about the response. It is the second messenger's job to start bringing about the response, and it does that by activating protein kinase. Now, cyclic AMP, when it activates protein kinase, the active protein kinase will phosphorylate other proteins and activate themselves. So, what they're showing here is active protein kinase can either activate specific enzymes or inactivate specific enzymes, and these enzymes are the ones that will bring about the response in the second cell, in the cell that receives the information from other cells. Now, these enzymes can either open or close channels, or they can activate metabolic pathway. Now, these enzymes can do three things to bring about the response. So, let's see. So they can open or close channels, ion channels, or they can activate certain metabolic pathway because they're enzymes, right? And they can also activate transcription factor. And as you know, transcription factors will go into the nucleus and start making mRNA that will then be translated to make new proteins to carry out the response. One note that I want to make is that you see these hormones cannot go through the membrane, so it has to use a second messenger pathway, which is the cyclic AMP as a second messenger to carry out the response. Now, there are certain signals that are lipophilic. That means they can go through the plasma membrane because they're lipophilic. Those signals can go through the membrane and start activating transcription factors inside of the cell. So they will go in, bind to transcription factor, activate them, and then transcription factor can facilitate the making of certain mRNA that will carry out the translation of the proteins that will carry out the response at the end.